everybody, and welcome to Blue Jays Today, where you boys always have something to say with the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, unfortunately, we do have some upsetting news for Blue Jay fans. Apparently, it looks like the Blue Jays are no longer the front runners for Corbin Burnes. Late last night, Corbin Burnes met with the San Francisco Giants, and a lot of analysts out there are predicting that he probably goes over to the San Francisco Giants. But the race is not over yet. The one good thing I guess we could say is that it's eerily quiet right now after that meeting, and maybe he slept on it, who knows, but we don't have a decision yet. There's still a lot of time left, hopefully, in this race, and maybe the Blue Jays can come back with a counteroffer. But before we get into all that and more, guys, hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. So there's a lot of reports out there. Blue Jays, Giants are the front runners. You had the Red Sox in the mix, but it feels like they're out of it now after the Crochet deal. Not as strong, heavy favorites, but it does. We could say at this point it's the Giants or the Blue Jays at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a safe gamble. Now, I know that there are some people talking still about the Red Sox, but then you also heard that they were interested in a Luis Castillo trade. And I mean, I think we can say assuredly, if they're like really looking over there, they're not going to be looking at a $250 million Corbin Burnes. So it does feel likely that it is going to be the San Francisco Giants or the Toronto Blue Jays. Now, earlier in the day yesterday, people were coming out and talking about how, you know what, maybe San Francisco doesn't have all that money. Maybe Toronto is going to go balls to the wall and get this deal done. But then a couple hours later, the tone started to shift, and it was looking, like you said, that the Giants were kind of pulling away right now. And in fact, they met with Corbin Burnes late last evening and were, I guess, discussing, you know, the intricacies of this deal. I would care to say that that is a good thing for the Giants.
Of course.
You know, maybe some people can spin it in a way that it's, you know, a good thing for the Jays because this is their last-ditch effort. But I think more times than not, that is going to be a profitable meeting for San Francisco and for the Giants as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing for Corbin Burnes, you know, he's a Californian guy, and going back to San Fran, California, is a huge thing for him, most likely, right? You want to go retire your career with a certain team? Well, why don't you do it with your hometown team, right?
And also, as well, too, like, this is just something that I thought about. I mean, he probably has a deep respect for Buster Posey. Right?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and who is the guy sitting literally across the table from you? You know, another, you know, a San Francisco Giants legend out there, future Hall of Famer.
Right.
That is, you know, effectively saying, we want you, take all our money.
Yeah, I mean, right here, you got John Heyman talking about Buster Posey right there. Is likely a good person to sell San Francisco. And the difference between what Buster Posey has already done this offseason versus the Blue Jays, Ross Atkins, is that you got Buster Posey already bringing in Willy Adames for a 7-year, $182 million deal, whereas the Toronto Blue Jays, yes, you've got the money, maybe a little bit more, but the big counter here is you don't have home field advantage in terms of where he grew up. You don't have the East-West Coast. You're on the East Coast, they're on the West Coast. And you don't have, more specifically, you don't have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or anybody locked up right now for long term. You have Andres Gimenez, and let's be real. Willy Adames, Andres Gimenez, I think we know where we're going with right there. So there's a little bit more security and a little bit more going on in the momentum for the Giants, which never really is a bad thing for those Blue Jays.
Of course, right? So right now, and actually, as we were talking about this, I just saw Underdog MLB tweet out that the Giants are heavy favorites for Corbin Burnes,
it is.
according to Bob Nightengale. So, yeah. Things aren't looking great right now in the Corbin Burnes sweepstakes, and obviously this is a blow because you miss out on Soto, you miss out on Fried. Not only did you miss out on Fried, but he goes to your division rivals.
Yeah.
And whilst all that's happening, your other division rivals get their ace in their own right in Garrett Crochet. We're falling behind right now, and that's why we were screaming at the top of our lungs saying, okay, now it's got to be Corbin Burnes just to keep up with the Yankees and with the Red Sox. But if you miss out on him, like, there needs to be some type of pivot. Where do you think we go if we miss out on Corbin Burnes?
Well, I definitely think the pivot more realistically, I mean, you could see the bottles if you're watching on the video platform. It's got to be a Santander or a Teoscar Hernandez. There was a little bit of buzz last night going on about Santander, and it's specifically coming from John Heyman right here. Shout out to Josh, the Jays fan, for taking this little snippet out of John Heyman's article, talking about how Juan Soto, he actually got out-homered by Mr. Anthony Santander, and the rival Blue Jays are in on Santander, who is seeking a 5-year deal.
Which I'd be comfortable giving him, by the way.
I'd be comfortable giving literally anybody anything they want at this point,
true.
because we're in absolute desperation.
Yeah, take 50 years for all
I don't care, right? We'll defer all the money. I don't really care, you know what I mean? But that's the thing, is we got to be able to pivot to the true area of need, which has always been adding that power bat. Now, while we all knew that, I was starting to buy into the idea that we could possibly go get a starting pitcher, because it was tantalizing seeing, well, if we added that top ace, Corbin Burnes, that pushes everybody down the rotation depth chart. And then not only does that push everybody down the rotation depth chart, well, then at the bottom of your depth chart in that starting rotation is Yariel Rodriguez, who then gets pushed into the bullpen. And inevitably adding a guy for 7, 8, 9 years in Corbin Burnes is a good idea to extend your winning window, because right now we don't really have a winning window. So, adding someone like Santander or Teoscar Hernandez, it extends it a little bit, but we're not really sure what kind of team we have and what player they'll be in a few years down the line.
Of course, right? I mean, the selling points for Corbin Burnes are, it's a lot, right? Not only is he a good player, but you're stealing him away from the Baltimore Orioles, a division rival of you. You're moving everybody down. The bullpen's getting filled out. Just across the board, it makes sense. However, it only makes sense if you can convince him to come here. And right now, it is sounding like the San Francisco Giants just have a better argument than you do. I don't think this means that we're out on the pitching market. I also don't think this means that we're out on the Corbin Burnes sweepstakes. I do think that there is still a chance that they could do this. We've seen reports like this come out before. During the Juan Soto meetings, there were times where the Boston Red Sox looked like heavy favorites.
And the Yankees, from credible sources and whatnot.
And they didn't end up finalizing that deal. So we are still in this mix, but if you are to lose out on a Corbin Burnes, we cannot sit idly by, folks. There were some reports from Ben Nicholson-Smith and from some of the other Sportsnet guys talking about how the Toronto Blue Jays, the big spending might be done. And
that would be ludicrous.
Is not the type of update that we need to see. What have you spent? Jimmy Garcia, and then you're paying the rest of the contract of Andres Jimenez? That is not enough for me. That's not enough. If you're going to come out here and you're going to talk to us about how you want to be competitive in 2025, you still need to go out. You still need to get one of those guys. I would love it if you miss out on Corbin Burnes. Maybe you're interested in a Jack Flaherty. Maybe you're interested in one of those other starters. Not quite the same tier as Corbin Burnes, but still very, very talented. More money needs to be spent.
I agree. Just a quick comment on that. The Jack Flaherty, Sean Manaea had a nice breakout. You could go get that guy. That wouldn't be a bad option. But honestly, after that, it's starting to get pretty thin. Like, where's Charlie Morton after all that? How old is he going to get? He's going to be pretty old, right?
Yeah.
42 years old, possibly into the next season. Like, it's a very thin market after that. Walker Buehler, what are you going to get? But I did want to continue to comment on that money thing, Nick. Like, man, if you're only going to spend, $17 million, whatever it is, this offseason, including that trade, if that's legitimately all you're willing to spend, you might as well just trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. right now.
Well, and
what are you doing?
And don't fucking come. If that's what you're doing, do not have the audacity to come onto a podium and tell us that you want to be competitive in 2025.
Exactly.
Do not have the audacity to do that if that's the only investment that you're willing to make.
Hey guys, time for a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Hit your picks and knock it out of the park with Betway. Scan the QR code down below or click the link in the description to join the action. Available in Ontario only. Must be 19 years older to participate. And guys, please bet responsibly. Now, back to the content. I said this from day one when they said they were going to be competitive. Okay, well, where's your $100 million you're going to commit additionally to next season? That's the only way you're going to get it done. And Corbin Burnes and a big player like that is going to be part of that budget. And if you miss out on him, there aren't too many big players left. Alex Bregman feels like he's going to be a Yankee when it's all said and done, or a Red Sox. And also that is painful to see because that's a division rival adding right there. But other than that, there really isn't a major player that's looking like $200 million, high 30 average annual value. You could argue Big Pete, but maybe that's more somewhere in the 25s. But point being is you got to add a big player, if not two kind of big players, to get back into that competitive atmosphere.
Of course, right? There's multiple additions that this team needs. Jimmy Garcia and Andres Jimenez is not filling all of the holes or solving all the problems right here. If Corbin Burnes falls out of the race and we miss out on that, the offseason isn't over, but it feels like the way that they are approaching things right now is not aggressive enough to actually get these deals across the finish line. And that entire mentality is going to need to shift if we do want to be competitive next season.
Yeah, like if they're staying disciplined, I mean, we're cooked. We're cooked, everybody. But you guys let us know in the comments down below. What do you think about the latest Corbin Burnes updates? If there are any more updates, we will be live for the reaction of the Corbin Burnes signing. So guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. $3 a month, become a Patreon member. Shout out and thank you to all of our current Patreon members. You guys are amazing. Also, massive shout out to all of our new subscribers. The support recently has been incredible. If you haven't already done so, then hit that subscribe button down below.
Guys, thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
go Chase, go!